Alright, now believe it or not, one of the best Detroit pizzas I ever had was down in Austin, Texas. And today, we're gonna recreate it, so let's hop into it. To get started, you're gonna need 16 ounces all-purpose flour, 2 teaspoons kosher salt, 2 1/4 teaspoons instant yeast, and 11 ounces room temperature water. Then you're gonna wanna stir and knead for about 3 to 4 minutes until you get a smooth dough, and you can catch my dog Jerry hanging out in the background trying to provide a little bit of support for this step. Once that's done, we're gonna grease a large mixing bowl with some olive oil, and then we're gonna spread it all around, making sure that the entire bowl is covered. We're gonna drop in our dough, cover with some plastic wrap, and let the yeast do its magic at room temperature for about 2 to 3 hours. Once done, it should roughly be about double in size, and then we've got to give it a little bit of a punch, and then we can move on to putting it in the dish. I'm using a 9x13 inch cast iron dish. Now you can go out and you can get specific Detroit pizza dishes and all of that, but I'm telling you, this works great. So you're gonna grease it up with a little bit of olive oil, and then you're gonna put the dough in and push out to the edges. Now just like my pan pizza video, which I've linked below, the dough is gonna have a little bit of resistance when you're pushing it to the edges. That's why we're gonna cover it with plastic wrap, and we're gonna let this sit for another hour, and the dough will be a lot more loose once it's done. Alright, now let's talk something really important, which is a pizza stone. These things are cheap, but they're vital for getting that amazing crust, as they help transfer heat to the bottom of the pan. Now, you put these in the oven and preheat at max temperature for an hour, and then the pizza goes directly on it. Moving on to the rest of our prep, including our toppings and our sauce, we're gonna take 2 garlic cloves, you're gonna slice and then finely mince, and then you can set that off to the side. Okay, so classic recipes call for Wisconsin brick cheese to be used, so I'm grating 2 cups of that. Now, Wisconsin brick cheese can be hard to find. It's not for me as I'm from Wisconsin, but it's kind of similar to a low moisture mozzarella, so just use that if you can't find it. So the pizza I had down in Texas was so good because it used 2 different types of pepperoni, one regular and then another one smoked. For the regular pepperoni, I just ended up getting a stick, and then I'm using a mandolin so that we can get some nice thin slices that are even. Now for the smoked pepperoni, it was a little bit softer, so I had to use a knife to cut into thin rounds. In terms of sauce, there's only one type of tomato we can be using, and that's San Marzano, and if you want to make sure you're using the real thing, just look for that sticker on the back. To get started on the sauce, you're going to take a large fry pan, and then over medium heat add a little bit of olive oil and then our minced garlic, and you're going to stir and cook for about 30 seconds. Then you can add in 2 tablespoons of tomato paste, and you're going to mix and incorporate with the garlic and cook for another minute or 2. We really want to get rid of this raw tomato flavor, as that's going to help richen our sauce in the end. After that, then we're going to take our San Marzano tomatoes, and we're going to dump the whole can in here, and then we're going to crush it with a spatula. I want this sauce to be nice and chunky, so I don't exactly want to blend the tomatoes. For that classic flavor, we're going to add in a teaspoon of dried oregano, a teaspoon of dried basil, and a little bit of red pepper flake, just depending on the level of spiciness that you want to see. After that, we're going to cook this thing for about 20 minutes on medium heat, making sure we're constantly stirring until the sauce is nice and thick. This sauce is going directly on top of the pizza, so we can't have it liquidy at all, and once it's done, just season to taste with some kosher salt and black pepper. At this point, our dough is done resting in the pan, so we can take off that plastic wrap and then start to push towards the edges again. As mentioned earlier, it's going to be a lot easier this time now that the gluten has relaxed. For building the pizza, it's going to be a little bit weird and different than what you're used to, but we're going to take that smoked pepperoni that we cut earlier, and we're going to put 3 rows of this on top of the dough. Then we're going to take our Wisconsin brick cheese, and we're going to heavily layer this over the top. I want enough cheese that I really can't see the pepperoni on the bottom anymore. Now for the sauce, we're going to take this and make either 2 to 3 rows on the pizza. I'm doing 2 rows here, and as we kind of mentioned earlier, this sauce should be thick enough that when you put it on, it's not really going anywhere. Then for a regular pepperoni that we sliced with the mandolin, we're going to add this onto the pizza on the outside and in between our 2 layers of sauce. Now for final touches, we're going to take some grated Parmesan and then lightly layer that on top, and then take a high quality olive oil, and we're just going to spread that around the edge of the pizza, and then it's good to go in the oven. We're going to place this directly on the pizza stone that's been sitting in that oven for a full hour and bake for about 13 to 14 minutes until you have that beautiful golden brown color on top. Pull it out, and that thing is going to be bubbling. Now within the first few minutes of pulling it out of the oven, you're going to want to put that pizza on a rack, as that air underneath is going to cause our crust to stay crispy and not get soggy. And then I suggest one of these large pizza cutters. It makes your life a lot easier, and you guys can see we have that beautiful crust on bottom, and this stuff is so good. If you guys like the video, please like and subscribe, and I'll catch you in the next one.